Citizens of Zimbabwe, my brothers and sisters, we are at the juncture in our country of changing from old systems that have run out of ideas to drive our nation, to take it from where we are to where we want it to be. We are at that time. We are at that moment. It's unstoppable by any idea, by any force. It's called a revolution. And when a revolution comes and you are not structured, you are not prepared, you are not capitalized for the new era, you're going to be a Remington, a typewriter, my brothers. But as we go ahead, it is not as simple as removing Peter and putting John. It's like changing the rower of a boat, thinking that will prevent the boat from capsizing. Boats will capsize from time to time. It is not the elections that are going to solve our problems. It is not the political system that will solve our problems. It's not the smartest or the most intelligent politician or person that's going to solve our problems. It is the ideas and the dreams unleashed in our country on the political system, on the industrial system, on the social system that God has put in each and every one of us. All of us. Everybody has a dream to accomplish in Zimbabwe. And when we do it in our complementarity, in other words, together, then Zimbabwe will become a great place. Is there a rush for us to go for these 28 elections? How about the sense of urgency and the idea that we are in an emergency and that our people are hungry and suffering and our people are eating baboons and our people are going hungry? There was a time when I went to Zaire and I was surprised that a human being could survive on 1 meal a day. That's all they ate in the afternoon. And we've come to that time and even worse in our country. What's going to happen to our people today as we go? Even when we get the elections in 2018, you will find it takes time with these United Nations and IMF and all these organizations and banks to create the financial process, to impede the social impact or to empower the country to the next stage. I'm saying to you, my brothers, we must stop and think and say, put elections aside and say, we created or we adopted this political system, this democratic system. It needs to be innovated, even in the countries where it originates. It is not perfect. It has got a lot of huge holes, big holes in this democratic system. It is abusable. It is not controllable. Each party is not controllable by the people. Parties are whistles that can run with a madman. There's no need to rush to the elections. We need to create a provisional government system to run for about 2 years while we restructure the capital process for engaging capital and detaching ourselves from foreign models that depend on capital from government. When that is cut, we're done, we're stuck. We need to create a free market, African capital innovation and creation process that is anchored in Zimbabwe under a culture of success, predictability, and accountability and responsibility, with this inherent stewardship that says we want to create a place of low risk and high return, a place where huge banks can come, who has the capacity to finance massive massive infrastructure or strategic growth projects for the nation or the economy of a nation, as has happened in all the other countries that have developed. We need to create this capital capturing process. It is doable. It is easy. It is easier than tapping from the source that we're tapping today. It is much easier through a standardized, that is already known, market creation and innovation process, creating value or a perception of the value that Zimbabwe is in 30 years from now, and Africa is, or sub-Saharan countries are in the next 30 years. When we do that, my brothers, that's where we are going. That's what will drive us. We need to create, because without the money, there's no industries. Without sorting out the problem of capital and the problem of the power process of the political system, the structure itself, and move it away from a system where one individual can hold a nation to ransom for years. We have to restructure a new system that is controllable by the people, a party system that has a monitoring and controlling process, so that what happens in a party affects the people, affects the tables of the people. But given what has been happening in ZANU-PF, there's this errant dysfunction that has run amok over the years, and all the media and us. Well, we have this expectationalism of their exceptionalism to creating a process. We are looking at them and saying we expect them to come back together and be able to fix things. It has not happened. It's not going to happen. That's why God has empowered us with a revolution. We think that the opposition party, we have this expectationalism, this expectation that the opposition system is perfect and therefore it's powerful and it's going to do it. But we know that it has been weakened by these divisions. That's why we have this eruption of this dissatisfaction, this expression, mass expression of the dissatisfaction of the Zimbabweans that has taken place under the Tajamuka, this flag, and all the other movements. And we need to get together on a national platform that starts not as a political process, but as a socio-economic process that says, let's go back to the brilliance of basics. Who are we? What is our raison d'etre, our reason for being? Knowing what we know, having what we have. Where could we be? What kind of Zimbabwe can we create? When we are sure, when we have that vision, the Bible says, without a vision, a people perish, to paraphrase. Without that vision, that God says, write down the vision, it will come to pass. It might tarry, but it will come to pass. Unless and until we sit down and structure it before the elections. Our biggest problem is not the Electoral Commission only, and certainly the political system that is in place today is ZANU-PF and its government are the least of our problems, because those we can deal with. We can fix that. We have the power and the capacity to fix it and put the political system in line. And therefore, that's not where our focus should be. Is what the focus should be. What are we going to do? We must see it before we go for it. This exceptionalism within the parties that says we have the idea, we have the way, you will see it when we try it. No, we have said it doesn't work. There's this dysfunction in the political system that's happening in America that we can see in other countries, and the failure in the European countries to sort out the economic systems and processes, because systems are running out of the ideas and philosophies of hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and people have stopped thinking. The people in these nations and these processes have ignored the visionary process of seeing the picture of where we are going and then creating it. They're putting the cart before the horse. They're putting the technocrats ahead of the visionaries, who could be anybody. My brothers, That's where we need to go. That's where we need to do. Number one, we have this project. The revolutionary phase of the project, we have the Zimbabwe transformational project. Number one, the revolutionary process. Number two, the transition process, where we need a transitional government, not a transitional agency that will take us into some perambulation or running around of another bureaucracy and a fighting between people. We know what we want to do. The ministries exist. We want to put heads in those ministries and drive our processes, our industry. As soon as we can put together a provisional government. And then the third phase is the democratic phase, where we say, what kind of democracy do we want? What kind of political system do we want? What kind of power structure do we want? Then we can talk about when are we going to do the elections, because we would have created a new constitution or an amended constitution that has the power to make sure that the democratic process will go through its due process and we'll have free and fair elections, if there's ever been such a thing, my brothers.